Hi everybody, Marty Rubin, and I'm back for another segment of Marty's Corner. And we have a very special guest today, Danny Rothman, who is playing the likable, energetic, relatable, married father of 5 daughters.
Yeah.
5?
Yeah, 5.
Oh my God. Who is trying to keep tradition in the Jewish community. Tevye.
Thank you. How often does a man get a compliment like that? Yeah.
In the hit musical?
Fiddler on the Roof.
All right, now we're rolling here. So, oh my God, you have such a presence on the Argyle Theater stage. I have to tell you, it's amazing. How has this first week been for you so far?
The first week's been wonderful. The audiences have been really embracing the show and very excited about it. I've had the good fortune of having previously done the role one time before.
Okay.
And I finished that production maybe 5 weeks before we opened this one. So there was parts of it that were still fresh for me. So, I was able to play. Although the first week of any show, it's usually pretty grueling because they're coming right out of a tech week where you're rehearsing many, many hours out of the day, fixing lights. There's a lot of stopping and starting. But it went, it felt pretty good.
Having played Tevye before, do you feel like that gave you, a good perspective? Like you could really get his character out and how this guy ticks, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first time I did it, I tried to do enough research so it didn't seem like it was my first time and really embody it. But of course, with anything, the more you do it, the more it becomes part of you.
Yes.
So, and obviously in this production, though, I have a different director, different actors, a different theater. So all that is new energy, and it keeps me fresh and finding things anew and feeling different. So
yes.
Yeah.
It's very interesting because you almost break the fourth wall.
I do break it.
You do. You're talking to God, but at the same time to the audience.
Right.
Do you think that strengthens your connection to the audience?
I think so, very much so. Anytime, you have that direct connection, there is another kind of visceral connection to the audience that you don't always get. And, it's not always so expertly done that you have these moments where you're really just talking to the audience as the character, as Tevye, so not necessarily as Danny, but then you jump right back into the reality of the play in that world, and and I think it does it pretty smoothly.
Yes.
So that, the audience is never they're able to continue to suspend disbelief and enjoy the story and hear Tevye's thoughts.
I think is a surprise for some people is that Tevye is very funny. I mean, he's a learned man and has serious problems, but he's very funny. He has some fantastic delivery.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jewish humor was kind of a big part of this period of time. And a lot of these guys ended up going to the Borscht Belt and doing comedy, or their grandkids did, and that was life wasn't easy, and a way to cope and deal with the hardships was with humor, and so it was an important skill to develop. So I think Tevye definitely reflects that, and of course the source material for this story is Shalom Aleichem's Tevye the Dairyman stories, and in that there's a lot of that humor, and he was the Jewish Mark Twain.
Yes.
Or the Yiddish Mark Twain,
yes.
As they say. There's a famous story that Shalom Aleichem met Mark Twain, and he said, "I apologize for, seeming immodest, but I'm told that I'm the Yiddish Mark Twain." And Mark Twain said, "I'm told I'm the American Shalom Aleichem." So there's a funny story like that. That's
nice.
Very much this play.
That's nice.
Deals with that world.
Well, Tevye, I mean, listen, anytime a big entertainer goes by one name, Elvis, Madonna, Celine, Cher, Smokey, Tevye. You're in like rarefied air. Tevye.
Right.
You only need one name when you're Tevye. Do you feel like this is a character like it's a show business character? Everybody knows Tevye. Is it fun to play a part like that?
It is. You tell people you're playing Tevye, and they immediately start, shaking.
Right, you got to move your shoulders.
If I were a rich man, everybody wants to, sing that. So it is. It's nice to have a role on the resume, or that you can say you played, and people are, oh, I know that. character, you know,
Yes.
doesn't from all walks of life. So
Yeah.
that's nice. Rather than something more obscure, you know, and confused, might confuse people, and you know, it doesn't mean anything to them. This one, typically people know at
Yes.
least that melody, if not the name of the character. So,
Yes.
yeah.
So, as a Marty's Corner fan, Danny,
Yes,
all right,
huge fan.
Yes, big fan. You know there's a sports reference coming.
Okay, got it.
So, are you ready? Okay. So, in a baseball game, in a key pivotal moment,
Right.
the pitcher steps off the pitcher's mound. He rubs up the ball and looks to the skies and is thinking, how do I get this batter out and get out of the jam?
Right.
He steps back up on the pitcher's mound. That's what Tevye does, in my opinion. Tevye is faced with his daughter's marital choices, and he steps off the pitcher's mound, and he's reaching and looking to the skies, and he's thinking about the pros and cons to get out of the jam.
Yeah.
And then he comes up with it. Do you love those kind of intent? First of all, do you like that comparison at all?
It's a new one for me, but I was a baseball player for a long time,
Okay.
so I'm with you.
All right. But do you like those kind of intense scenes, like where you gotta think it through? How am I gonna massage this so that that's gonna work with my daughters?
Absolutely. I mean, I do think that Tevye is one of the greatest roles in all of musical theater. So that aside, but those moments are wonderful to get to kind of discover every night. And hopefully it seems like I'm discovering for the first time every night what I'm going to do. And am I going to throw a curveball or a slider? Am I going to get a little Vaseline off the hat? Maybe I just let the hitter hit and see what happens. You know, we gotta figure that out. So yeah, there's a lot of similarities there to the way a pitcher plays. Although the words that come out of my mouth are always going to be the same. But you know, there's always different ways and nuance to find within each performance.
Yes.
How you discover something. You know, little things change every time for sure.
Yeah.
And I'd like them to.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm
St. Louis Cardinal fan?
I was a Cardinals fan, yeah,
Okay.
back in the kind of, I don't want to reveal my age.
Okay,
But
all right.
I remember chanting Ahazi from
Okay.
the stands
When he
for a
used to
long
do the
time.
backflip and go out to
Yeah,
shortstop
yeah.
before the show.
Yeah, but I also enjoyed pool holes and, you know, a little
was
bit
like
of an
the
asterisk.
best version of
but,
pool holes, you know?
Yes, but at the time, the McGuire era was pretty exciting.
Yes.
So, yeah, I was a Cardinals fan back then.
And did your family introduce you to the theater world, or your friends, or how did that come about?
I have two older sisters who used to sing show tunes around the house all the time. And I just kind of, wanted, I guess, I was hanging out with them a lot. And we go over to my grandfather's house, and he bought a VHS color camera, also revealing my age a little bit. But we would perform for ourselves every Friday night. We'd make tapes, and we'd stand on his radiator cover, and my sister would sing Hello, Dolly, and I would entertain her. And then as I got older, I realized I could actually, sing pretty well, and I just loved it. So,
Yeah.
I moved slightly away from sports, which I enjoyed, but I just started doing the theater thing because it was the most fun I ever had.
When were you introduced to Fiddler on the Roof? When were you aware of it? How old were you?
Gosh, I'm certain that I'd seen productions at a young age, but the one memory that really sticks out in my mind of seeing this show was at the St. Louis Muni, which is an 11,000 seat outdoor amphitheater that's been around 100 years. A man named Theodore Bickel played Tevye. And I still remember moments from that production from when I was maybe 19, 20 years old. And he had done the role for 30 years off and on. So it is that kind of role where you can do for 30 years because you always are discovering things and learning new things about the guy. And
Right.
So it's a lot of fun.
If you could go back to that 19-year-old Danny Rothman and tell him what it's like to play Tevye, how would you describe that feeling?
I would say it's way better than Perchik and Model, which at the time is what I wanted to play, but Tevye was so far off my radar. But no offense to Perchik and Model, they're wonderful.
Yes, they are. They are. They're terrific.
But Tevye is it's a monster of a role, and you get to every gamut of emotion, and you get to be funny, and you get to be dramatic. So it just has everything.
And you have great chemistry with all of the actors.
Yeah.
I mean, you're this. Everything comes through you, so you get to work with a lot of different actors in the show.
Yeah, it's a really wonderful group of people that Evan Pappas, our director, has assembled, and Michael Cassera, our casting person. So it's a really great group that I get to play off every night, and I've had a lot of fun with them on stage and off. So,
That's great.
Yeah.
So we are about an hour and a half out from
Okay.
tonight's performance. And I feel, Danny, some responsibility to make sure that you're ready tonight. You've been
okay.
ready every show, but, you know,
All right,
I feel like
I'll take the help.
All right, so you started to sing a song before, If I Were a Rich Man.
Yeah.
If I was to, you're laughing, if I was to sing the start of that song, would you pick me up and take it from there? Would you do that for me?
Okay, I haven't warmed up, but I'll do my best. I'll do my best.
all
Okay,
right.
yeah.
If I was a rich man,
all day long I'd biddy bum. If I were a wealthy man.
I love it. I love it.
Don't want too many
You can't
spoilers.
give it too much away.
Yeah.
If you want to see the rest of that awesome song and see Danny just playing his heart out every night and the rest of the super talented cast, come on down to the Argyle Theater. We're playing Wednesday through Sunday, straight through to June 15th, and we can't wait to see you at the Argyle Theater. Bye-bye.